Welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. My name is Dr. Storme, and I help private practice owners align their business back with their soul's calling, with their big vision and with their soul's purpose. Unlike other private practice coaches, I've traveled the world in search of spiritual resources, spiritual tools, education and information so that you can have the transformation that your soul desires and needs so that you can up-level your business. How much fun is this? I love it so much. Guys, if you're not already a member of the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, please check out the show notes. I would love for you to be there. In the meantime, thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy Hump Day. And welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. As you know, hi, I'm Dr. Storme, your host, and a very, very warm welcome to everyone who's pushed play on another episode today. I'm really so pleased that you're here. And of course, welcome to all of the new subscribers. Our numbers are really gaining momentum. And although you might be listening to this podcast by yourself while you're out on a walk or while you're driving to work or driving children around for school drop-offs and school pickups, know that you're part of a much bigger community. Absolutely. There's nearly 14,000 of us all listening to these podcasts every single Wednesday and Saturday now. So maybe you can take a moment to reflect on that as you're listening to today's podcast and just really allow yourself to tune into the vibe of this beautiful community that you are absolutely a part of. And I also want to say thank you again so much to people who have been contacting me via Messenger on Facebook, email, things like that. You know, I really want to give a shout out to somebody called Sandra. I'm not going to say any last names. She knows who she is. Thank you so much, Sandra, for the brilliant idea that you had. It is something that's already in the pipelines, and I will absolutely be in touch with you to show you maybe a peep over my shoulder at the work in progress. You know what I'm talking about. For everybody else, there's something new and exciting that you're going to be able to access hopefully within the next 6 months or so. Sandra sent it through as a suggestion. I think this is what I mean. Like when you're on the same page, you're on the same page. I also want to give a really big shout out to another lady called Nicole, and she will know who she is. Nicole is a beautiful soul, lives in Australia, and she posted a really beautiful picture of her morning walks. So she's been using some of the content on this podcast and in our groups to help her reconnect with her North Star and tune into all that beautiful energy and, really create morning ritual for herself. And it was just so... it wasn't exciting to see the photo. It just felt so nourishing to see it, and it felt so beautiful, to see that somebody implements these things and that she's honoring herself and her own journey. So I'm so proud of you, Nicole. Well done. And also a big shout out to Kylie, who she's manifesting. She uses the content on this podcast and in our groups to support manifesting practices for her private practice. And she set an intention to manifest 5 new bookings or 5 new referrals this week. And yesterday she shared, she shared that she had 3 already. So just amazing work. You are all so powerful. And I love hearing that you're beginning to see that you are powerful. I don't like the word creator because it reminds me of religion and dogma, and that's not what this is about, but creatrix. How's that? You are beautiful creatrixes, and absolutely when you start to implement and embody the content on this podcast and in the groups on Facebook and all of that sort of stuff that I share with you, you start to get results just like these women are. And this is something also that women in the private practice class experience too. I mean, they've just done some amazing things. I also want to give a big shout out to Alison, who's, she created this beautiful gift for her audience, and it had more downloads than we expected, and now she's looking to have more of those available for people in her world, in her circle that she supports, download. So you're all just doing so well. Never underestimate yourselves. So today I want to talk with you about a circle of empowerment, because I think that, it's probably a good time for us to do this. Now, I first learned about circles of empowerment when I was in Marrakesh, though they didn't call them that. But when I was reflecting on the podcast topic for today and I was looking through my notes, a circle of empowerment pops up in many different cultures and spiritual belief systems. So I want to give it a little bit of a tweak for you and help you create your own circle of empowerment. So, for example, I think I mentioned to you before that recently I read a book by Kai Ra called The Sophia Code. If you haven't read it and you're open-minded and you love spirituality, like connecting with feminine archetypes, I would absolutely recommend you grab a copy. I think you can get it off bookdepository.com. She's also got a Facebook group. But anyway, in her work, she talks about a circle of empowerment. And for her, that refers to 8 feminine archetypes. So basically, you imagine yourself getting ready for this is my interpretation. You can imagine yourself getting ready for the day at work. And in her world, in Kaira's world, what she would do is she calls down ascended masters. So she's going to imagine, maybe white, but I think I'm going to get the order wrong. So please be understanding. It's very early in the morning. I've got a splitting headache, but I'm going to do my best. So it's she calls in White Buffalo Woman in the north, and then I think it's Isis in the northeast, Hathor in the east, then it's Green Tara and the Dakinis, or Hathor and Hathor Star Nation, Green Tara and the Dakinis. Then at the south, it's Mother Mary and Jesus and other people who I can't remember off the top of my head. Then in the southwest, it's Mary Magdalene, and behind her is Joan of Arc and the Order of Magdalena. And then off to the west, we have, oh, please let me remember this, Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin, yes, Kuan Yin. And I don't know if she has a star nation. I can't remember who's behind Kuan Yin. So she's the goddess or the archetype for self-compassion, compassion for others. And then there's in the northwest, there's the seraphim, the Sophia Dragon Tribe seraphim. So each of those feminine archetypes represents something. Like Mother Mary represents love and fulfilling your prophecy here on earth, so to speak. Excuse my language this morning. And then Mary Magdalene is all about having a voice. So, she's known for 1,000 voices, and that's because of all the preaching that she did. Anyway, so you have all of these women that represents something really important, and then after you've called in all of those women in each of the directions, it doesn't stop there, because then you honor yourself and you are in the center of this now circle of empowerment that you've created. Now, all of these women are standing under pillars of, you might say white light or pink light or whatever color light works for you. Kind of like, Scotty in Star Trek, beam me up. So they're individually in their own little columns of light. So you're surrounded by these columns of light, shining down on these women, and then you're in the middle and there's a column of light shining down on you. And you then fill up the rest of that circle with, yourself, with your energy, with your love, with your kindness, with your compassion. You ground yourself, and you expand your you-ness out to the circle, and so it reaches everybody else. So this is called a circle of empowerment. This is one way that you can create a really healthy boundary for yourself. Now, you don't have to use feminine archetypes. You could use a mix of archetypes, masculine and feminine. You don't even have to use any of those. Or you might think of, I don't know, how many people are there? There's White Buffalo, Northeast. Okay, so there's 8. So maybe think of 8 women, if you like, that are in your world, whether that's energetically you feel connected to them, whether they've been in your world online, whether they're in your world in your family. Maybe think of 8 women who each represent something different. One represents compassion, one represents leadership, one represents strength, one represents... The idea is to have 8 qualities represented in the circle so that you feel really complete. You can do the same thing. All you're going to do is call them in, honor them in some way. You can honor them with a simple thank you for being here, and then put yourself in the middle and allow your love to expand out to all of these women and allow yourself to receive. So these 8 women are now creating a shield, okay, between you and the outside world. It's your circle of empowerment. Nothing bad is going to happen to you while you're aware and consciously present in your circle of empowerment. And if, life happens or stuff in the practice happens, you start to really cultivate a practice of being present in this circle of empowerment and calling upon the archetype or the energy of that archetype that's best able to support you in this moment. For example, I'm in the, no, that's not a good example. What about in the past? I think I told you, when I was first starting my practice and I didn't know what I was doing with some of my policies, and I went from being a free psychologist, doing all about bullying, to starting to charge people money. And I was only charging $15, as you'll remember. But I got a lot of pushback and I got bullied by a couple of people. They literally stood over me, shouted at me, called me names, all over $15. Can you believe it? Not ideal clients. But I was scared. I felt intimidated. I was in my wounded feminine, right? I just wanted to cover up, hide. I did not want to be seen or heard. I was scared. And what ended up happening was I gave in to those bullies. Now, I don't do that anymore, obviously, because it's not about me, it's about them, and I know that. Plus, I'm running a business, so I'm not going to be doing that. But I made this error in the start, and it wasn't an error, it was the right decision at the time and all of that sort of stuff, but you know what I mean. But had I had a circle of empowerment back then, and had I been able to consciously connect in with that as this was happening and as it started to escalate, I could have called on someone like Mary Magdalene, who's known for, you don't have to be religious to understand this, but she was known for being quite a revolutionary, apparently. And that's why she's buddied up with Joan of Arc in a lot of the sacred texts. There's so many books that draw big parallels between these two women. And, Joan of Arc was very, very famous for the actions that she took, but also for her last words, which, as she was being prepared to be burned alive, I think she was stripped naked, put on a pyre and burned alive. Her final words were, I was born for this. And, wow. Wow. I mean, imagine if you're in that position. Is that what you're going to say? Probably not. But she was that embodied in her purpose. That's who she was. And so if you are in a difficult situation, think about people that you are in your circle of empowerment and get guidance. Like, really allow yourself to take a beat and think, how would this person handle this situation? So that Joan of Arc would probably just fight, and using the situation of me getting bullied about fees in the early days of my practice, Joan of Arc would have said, stand up for yourself and just deal with it. Kuan Yin, who's a goddess of compassion, so compassion for self and others and, all humanity and things. She probably would have, guided me to have some compassion for the people who were trying to bully me, which, okay, that's fine. But also compassion for myself, like self-love, self-care, self-awareness. And then probably, who else? I'm just trying to think who's in my circle of empowerment now. Yeah, you get the idea, right? If my mum was in my circle of empowerment, my mum would have a lot of things to say about getting bullied over money. And it'd be helpful things for me to hear. And then I've got a girlfriend who I just love and adore, and she brings a whole other perspective as well, and I know that if I brought this same, because I've done it before, I've taken an issue and I've shared it with my mum and I've shared it with my girlfriend, got two different bits of really great advice. So think about creating a circle of empowerment for yourself so that when you're in a pickle or when you're feeling vulnerable, you can get some different perspectives. You can access those different perspectives because these 8 people, you can tune in to their energy and receive that guidance, okay? The other thing that really, really works for me and comes up also quite frequently in sacred texts around the world, they describe the same thing, but they all have a different name for it. I think Rebecca Campbell calls it the way of the rose or something like that. But also Kai Ra from the Sophia Code talks about it as, I think it's, the rose journey or something like that. But it's a very famous belief that, things in nature can be used as metaphors for creating empowerment through boundaries. And I think the reason that the rose is such a powerful metaphor is because it's so accessible. Like straight away, we can understand boundaries through the eyes of the rose. So imagine a beautiful rose, right? Most beautiful rose that you've ever seen. That rose is going to bloom regardless of who walks past, right? Nothing's stopping that rose from blooming, let's say. It's going to open and close its petals every day in the rain, in the sun. If I walk past, if you walk past, if, somebody else walks past, it's always going to be blooming. It doesn't care about what we think. Even if we don't like roses, it's still going to bloom, right? Do you see the metaphor there for you and your online work? Okay. There are always going to be people who don't watch your videos, but it doesn't mean you're not having an impact and you're not being seen. You're being seen, don't worry. They might not engage with your videos, sorry. And then there's the aspect of the rose of, the beautiful scent that it provides. And that scent releases dopamine, which makes you feel better or feel good. So all these beautiful things. But the beauty of the rose is protected by the sharpness of the thorns, okay? And so for us, in private practice, for example, those thorns are your boundaries, all right? And you need to have those boundaries, just like a rose needs the boundaries so that she can stay beautiful and present and open. So too do you need boundaries so you can stay beautiful and present and open without good boundaries in place. And a rose doesn't apologize for the boundaries, does she? The rose doesn't say, oh, hang on, I can see that you're getting upset. Let me just break off a few sharp thorns for you so that you can attack me. It doesn't work like that. That's not what a rose does. The rose says, that's okay. I'm going to love you from over here and, hopefully you can love me from over there. But these are my boundaries in between us. Right? And the other thing about the rose, obviously, is, if somebody tries to cross a boundary with a rose, they're going to get stuck, right? By the thorn. And for you and I, that means that when you enforce a boundary, that person's going to feel stuck, like feel stung, feel the pain, feel the emotion of it, and all their stuff is going to come up. Not your stuff. You're safe and protected. What you're going to see is a manifestation of their stuff, because if somebody's pushing your boundaries, then they're in a wounded space, right? Healthy people don't push other people's boundaries and persist in pushing people's boundaries. That's their stuff. You're nice and safe behind your wall of thorns, if you want to call it that, or think about it like that. You're nice and safe in your circle of empowerment. This other person, they're going to have a hissy fit and they're going to act out, right? Because they're wounded, and that's okay. And you just hold that space for them and you allow them to, have their carry on and have their tantrum and do all of those things that they need to do. Even though they're adults, there are grown adults that bully people, and you will be bullied for your fees by somebody at some point. It happens. But by you having that boundary in place, you maintain your integrity. You don't take it personally. You know it's business. It's just business. It's nothing personal. You have love for this person. Of course you do. Even though they're acting out, you still love them. But you respect yourself and them when you put boundaries in place. Okay? And so, yes, they're going to learn that the only way for them not to feel that pain is to follow the boundaries. And they're going to learn big lessons from you being able to hold strong and fast to your boundaries as well. So it's safe for you to have boundaries. Remember, that person is on the outside. You are on the inside. So these are just some tools that have been around for eons. You're going to see them in lots of texts because they have, I want to say stood the test of time. They've endured. That's a better way of saying it, isn't it? They've endured. And I just want to be able to say that your work that you're doing creates a legacy. And we want that to endure as well. And that's why it's safe for you to have boundaries. It's safe for you to enforce them. Most people aren't even going to worry about your boundaries, and you're not going to need a circle of empowerment, once you understand how to integrate all of these different parts of your energy. But it's a really important lesson for you to learn and take away. And I hope that this really, 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 really helps you. And I've just remembered, I think at the start of this podcast, I was crediting the wrong person. I should have said Susan, not Sandra. Susan, thank you so much for your Facebook message. Yes, lovelies, it was Susan who contacted me and said, she had this idea, and I'm going to share with her a peep over my shoulder to show her this idea is already in full swing and we're on the same page. So Susan, I apologise for that. Thank you. Okay, my lovelies, I need to go because guess what? The day before yesterday, a real estate agent came to my house, and I've decided to put my house on the market, and it's all just been such a whirlwind. So I had beautiful, beautiful clients in the morning, and then in the afternoon we had gardeners here, photographers here, handymen here. I was moving, how you've got declutter for your photos. I was moving stuff out of the bedroom, out of the master bedroom, out of the lounge room and out of the study. I feel very naked and very bare. It's like there's nothing here. It's all in boxes. And then I've got the gardener has to come back today to do a bit of a tip run or something. And then on Thursday, the photographer's got to come back to take photos of the areas of the house that I had filled up with stuff from the other rooms. And then on Saturday, I've got my very first open for inspection. So, yes, I'm trying to juggle all of this around, my work. And in about 10 minutes, I've got to take my dog to babysitting and be back in time for my 9 o'clock appointment, who I love working with. Oh my gosh, she is Oh, she's so much fun. I love, love, love working with her. Isn't it so great when you get to work with people who are on your wavelength? Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I love it so much. And speaking of loving it so much, I just reminded myself, somebody else, Jess, pointed out to me that I say I love it so much. And I didn't even realize that I was saying that, but hey, there it is. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. I've had a few of you ask about information for the private practice class. As I said, guys, it doesn't open for enrolment until the end of June. But I can absolutely email you some dot points about what's included. So if you want some info about it, let me know and I can shoot you a short email with, content overview. And then as we come closer to the day, I can send you like the actual web page so that you can see it properly, and it's got all the details and more information there. But I would love to have you there, of course. All right, my lovelies, have a beautiful, 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 beautiful day. Go and organize your circle of empowerment. That's your action step for today. Let me know how you go, and I'll talk to you a bit later. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast today. If you're looking for clarity, if you need help with branding, your processes, and bringing everything into alignment with your soul's purpose for your private practice, head to the show notes and click the link for more information about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group. You are going to love it. I can't wait to see you in there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.